Welcome to a new daily top AskReddit video. Today's topic.
What are some of the most secret documents that are known to exist? Thousands of documents from World War II were classified and can only be published after 2045. I can't wait to learn what they contain. After everything we do know about World War II, I can't imagine what Truman and Eisenhower were like. Nah. I want to be dead as shit before this leaks. The letter of last resort. In the UK, one of the first things the Prime Minister does on taking office is write a letter of last resort, to be placed in each of the UK's nuclear submarines. That gives instructions to the captain in the event that the government entirely ceases to exist. When a Prime Minister leaves office, their letters are destroyed without ever being opened. I wonder what they did for the Prime Minister whose term was shorter than a submarine rotation. No matter who attacked us, nuke France for old time's sake. With my last breath, I curse Zoidberg. The one written by the lettuce said, "Watch out for the icebergs." Was she pro-Brexit or did she vote Remain? The letter itself might be secret, but it's reasonably well known. It says something along the lines of, report to the Americans and/or NATO. Quote, it's said that they get 4 choices of what to put in the letter to the commander. Retaliate. Don't retaliate. Put yourself under US, Australian or other allied command. Use your own judgment. James Callaghan is the only person who publicly spoke about his choice. He said he told him to retaliate if it were to become necessary or vital. It would have meant the deterrent had failed, because the value of the nuclear weapon is frankly only as a deterrent. He said, but if we had got to that point, where it was, I felt, necessary to do it, then I would have done it. I've had terrible doubts, of course, about this. I say to you, if I had lived after having pressed that button, I could never, ever have forgiven myself. Quote, imagine thinking it would never get opened, and just writing, lol, launch everything. Fuck, all. YOLO. Quote, righto lads, it seems we've been caught in a bit of a sticky situation. But if we've been caught with our trousers down, surely the Yanks can't be faring much better in it. Enclosed with this envelope you'll find a tricorn cap and your new red coat. Set coordinates to Washington, D.C. post haste. Let's finish this business they started in 1776. Tally ho gents. The Epstein visitor logs. RIP. This comment just deleted itself. I'm surprised whoever got Epstein is allowing Ghislaine to just chill there in prison. But she did refuse an easier sentence in return for giving up names of people who helped traffic girls for Jeff. So maybe that's why. Didn't the security cameras malfunction exactly when he committed suicide? There is no way that footage doesn't exist. And the guards were sleeping LMAO. Secret and top secret documents, depending on the country in question, dealing with key governmental deliberations can be withheld from the public for 25 to 30 years. In the UK, I believe that the King's, Queen's personal archives are held back for 100 years. The BBC, Radio 4, used to do a fun series called UK Confidential, which involved installments when new secret documents were released. It was really great. They would interview folks who were still around and part of the action from the time in question, and would use voice actors to read the key documents. They had some wonder a dead on Thatcher, among others. It is cool to hear the deliberations from the time of the events. It is the real inside story. Some of the events are heavy, but some are light and funny. Here is the link. It is worth a listen. I wish every public broadcaster around the world would do something like this. https://www.bbc.co.uk/programs/B00xJ3RW. Wish Radio 4 would do some more of these. I was posted to the Defence Academy of the UK and every so often you'd have to do station checking. Officer duties which involves making sure all the weapons are still in the armory and the fuel cards haven't been nicked, etc. And one of the duties is to do a random spot check of the secret archives, where you pick 10 or so documents randomly from the logbook and the librarian brings them out and you just sign to say they're still there. Now the Defence Academy houses loads of research type stuff and one of the documents was titled Future Tank Program and I was super curious and technically I had clearance. Although I still shouldn't have. And picked that one so I could have a little poke around in it. It was all super technical and I didn't recognize anything except the silhouette of the tank which was definitely the Challenger one. So it turns out it's a lot of paperwork to declassify stuff so most of it stays secret for ages. Because no one cares enough to change that. Edit. For those not familiar, designing of the Challenger 1 tank began in like the late 70s. Nothing about it has been secret since probably before I was born. Should have leaked it on the War Thunder forums. Reminded me of the documentary 3 Identical Strangers. 3 adopted triplets were separated and placed in different families as part of a study on nature versus nurture. The families and triples didn't know about this. Their files are in a vault at Yale University and cannot be accessed until 2060. Their lives were orchestrated yet they cannot access their own files. The film mentioned how their attempts were shut down by powers higher up. It's truly mind-boggling. Makes you wonder how people are able to do this kind of stuff. Turns out, this adoption agency separated more multiples for studies. Didn't one of the triplets commit suicide? Yes, he did. I saw the film on a plane 5 years ago and I'm still baffled and angry and a whole lot of other emotions I can't describe. How's it legal that they can't access their own files? Sorry, I just found out about this. Exactly. It's infuriating. Under current ethics laws, the subjects can opt out of this study at any time. There is no exception. This is law and there are no exceptions for Yale. In this case, if the 2 remaining triplets both opted out, ethically speaking, they would have to be reunited. The documentation may be able to be kept confidential, but the participants would need to be unblinded to the study.